Good afternoon. You're now watching ASEAN Business Report, and today is Friday, October the 28th of 2011. I'm Weena Jongprasit.
And I'm Pasurang Desha Putharangsi. Kun Weena, just this morning, the latest updates on the conference by Kun Sukhumpan Boripat, the Bangkok governor. He urged all city residents of Bangkok to closely watch the flood situation over the weekend, specifically because high tide and huge water runoff may topple Bangkok's barrier, the flood barrier, which is 2.5 meter high.
He also said that the overall water level this weekend could reach 2.6 meters. Of course, that is higher than the flood barriers that we have.
Obviously.
And he also reported that the water runoff has already reached Bangkok's Bang Khen district.
Right, and on the road blasting proposal to divert more water via the eastern part of Bangkok, he said he would support the government's plan and ensure that the precautionary measures are taken to protect the residents and minimize the negative effects. And I do have the updates on this. Well, the government is considering to blast sections of highways and roads east of Bangkok to open the way for floodwater to be drained into the sea. Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and Transport Minister Sukhumpan Suwannathat said they would inspect the eastern part of Bangkok by air today before making the final decision on the road blasting proposal this afternoon. The private sector has proposed that the government remove sections of at least 5 roads, namely Pracha Ruam Chai, Rat Utit, Suwin Hawong, Nimit Mai, and Ruam Patana to divert more flood water from Pathum Thani to the east of Bangkok, where it can flow into the sea via Klong Drdin. This will help ease the massive flow of water heading into the inner city of Bangkok. Nina Chai Tirapinyo, vice chairman of Toyota Motor Thailand, said the proposal will boost the current drainage capacity 4 times, even though there could be some negative impacts on residents in those areas. Currently, Bangkok could not drain much water from the north because these roads have blocked the water flow. If the roads are cut through by 5 to 6 meters in width, they could drain about 60 million cubic meters of flood water per day, according to Ninat. So far, the runoff from north of Bangkok has flooded several areas west of the capital city, namely Blang Pat district, Drdin Sanit Wong Road, and Pin Klao areas. In addition, areas north of Bangkok, namely Don Mueang Airport, Sai Mai district, and Lac Si, have also been heavily flooded. Authorities are worried the massive runoff will breach barriers and flood the inner city and business districts of Bangkok, causing more damages. As a result, they are considering various options, including the road blasting plan to minimize the impacts of the massive runoff. According to a news report, Shawalit Chantararat, managing director of Team Group, an expert on water resources management, supported the road blasting plan, but noted that the passage of 5 to 6 meters wide along the 5 roads might not be sufficient to control the huge amount of runoff water. He also proposed that authorities cut through the lower Klong Hokwa and remove all barriers between Klong 8 and Klong 9 or Klong 8 and Klong 9 to widen the passage of water into the sea.
Toyota Motor Thailand has extended its earlier suspension of vehicle production to November 5th due to the unsolved supply chain disruption, which is also hurting its factories in Japan and North America. The 3 plants in Thailand have been suspended since October 12 due to the flooding, which has disrupted delivery of necessary auto parts supply. Toyota Motor Thailand therefore decided to extend the temporarily suspension of the assembly operations at its 3 facilities until November 5, 2011, TMT said in a statement. Earlier, it was reported that due to the shortage of components and parts from Thailand, Toyota in Japan could cut the output by 6,000 units in 5 days. Toyota Motor Corp said Thursday that it would suspend operations at 4 factories in North America because flooding in Thailand could disrupt supply chains. There would be halt in output Saturday at car factories in the central U.S. states of Indiana and Kentucky, as well as the Canadian province of Ontario, and an engine production plant in the eastern U.S. state of West Virginia, the company said. Toyota had yet to decide whether it would halt operations on other days, adding it would monitor the flooding in Thailand, which has affected the suppliers of its car parts. The company was concerned about potential shortages of about 100 items, such as resin, castings, and electronic components produced by the carmaker suppliers in Thailand, spokeswoman Chiori Hashimoto said. Toyota's operations in North America only came back to normal in September after the carmaker was forced to slash global production in the aftermath of the March earthquake and tsunami in Japan.
And now we have our reporter Kun Onrawi Tangmisang. She's now at Suvarnabhumi Airport. Hello, Kun Onrawi.
Hello, Kun Pasarang, Kun Veena.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ Kun Onrawi, we know now that Japanese delegates are now in Suvarnabhumi Airport. Who are they and whom are they meeting with?
One of them is the director for international affairs of the airport planning and construction and aviation bureau, and another one is chief of airport safety and aviation security division. Both of them are from Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism from Japan, and they met with top officials of Suvarnabhumi International Airport this morning.
Yeah, what was the purpose of their visit, Kun Onrawi?
Well, they came here to inspect the flood preventive measures of Suvarnabhumi International Airport.
So, what was the meeting about anyway?
They met in the morning and they had a meeting, and basically it was about how Thai top officials they told the Japanese delegates about what they have been doing. They talk about the flooding protection system of Suvarnabhumi International Airport. Right.
And can you comment on the airport's preventive measures? Have you seen any flood barriers, sandbags around the airport?
Yeah, I have seen the dike. This is like the first level of the flooding protection system. I've seen the 3.5 high dike, and it was like about 23.5 kilometers, but I didn't went all the way 23.5 kilometers. And I've seen the pumping station, the east side of the pumping station. They have both the east side and the west side of the pumping station, and they also have the reservoir inside the Suvarnabhumi Airport.
Right. Kun Onrawi, has someone mentioned the readiness of the airport in handling the flood situation?
Okay, one of the Japanese delegates, he said, initially, after they heard about the system, they said, one of them, he's pretty confident in the safety of the Suvarnabhumi Airport, but then he has to go, to inspect the site to see whether it was as they talk about in the meeting or not.
Right.
So they have to inspect more to come to the conclusion. So this is just an initial report.
And at the moment, what are they doing now, the Japanese delegates?
They are now, we went to the pumping station, and they are now taking a tour at main transformer, the main transformer of Suvarnabhumi Airport.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, yeah, well, thank you so much.